History doesn't always whisper. Sometimes it screams a warning through the centuries, a pattern of decline so consistent it feels like a mathematical formula. According to a compelling historical analysis, there is an 8-stage process that has led to the collapse of every great empire in the last 2,000 years. The most terrifying part: the evidence suggests the United States has already completed 7 of these 8 stages. We are not on a path toward collapse. We are, the argument goes, already deep within its final sequence. This isn't a political opinion or a dystopian fantasy. It's a pattern etched into the ruins of Rome, the faded maps of the British Empire, and the dissolved borders of the Soviet Union. Each believed they were the exception, destined to rule forever. Each was catastrophically wrong. Let's trace this ancient blueprint and see why the math looks so ominous for modern America. Before we diagnose the present, we must understand the past. The collapse formula doesn't discriminate by era or ideology. The Roman Empire took 4 centuries to complete all 8 stages, its decline a slow-motion unraveling of the ancient world's greatest power. The British Empire accelerated the process, moving from a global superpower in 1945 to a regional nation in just over 20 years. The Soviet Union blazed through the sequence fastest of all, collapsing from a nuclear-armed superpower into 15 separate nations in a mere 26 years. The common thread? A predictable 8-stage sequence of internal decay that made these empires vulnerable long before any external force delivered the final blow. The fall of Rome provides the clearest historical blueprint for this process. 1. Military overextension. The empire grows beyond its ability to defend itself. Rome's borders stretched from Scotland to Sudan, with legions so scattered they couldn't support one another. The cost was staggering, consuming up to 60% of imperial revenue, and still wasn't enough. 2. Currency debasement. To pay for the unaffordable military, governments choose the invisible tax of currency devaluation. Rome slowly reduced the silver content in its denarius coin from 95% to less than 5%. The result? Hyperinflation. The price of wheat exploded by 200,000%, wiping out the savings of the middle class and destroying economic stability. 3. The debt spiral. With the currency broken and costs mounting, the empire borrows heavily. Interest payments consume an ever larger share of revenue, requiring more borrowing just to service existing debt. This creates a brain drain as the wealthy and educated, the problem solvers, move their assets and talents to safer territories. Vigi Boborndorabart stopper Stenson 1. Loss of productive capacity. The real economy begins to crumble. Local industries are outsourced to cheaper producers abroad. In Rome, workshops that had made pottery and textiles for centuries closed because they couldn't compete with barbarian imports. Agriculture faltered under heavy taxes and disruption, leading to chronic food shortages in cities. 5. Social decay. This is when the collapse becomes visible to the average citizen. Trust evaporates. Crime soars. Public infrastructure, roads, aqueducts, buildings, crumbles from neglect. Most dangerously, civic virtue disintegrates. Military service becomes a burden to avoid, taxes become optional, and corruption becomes the norm. The social contract that held society together simply falls apart. 6. Military collapse. This isn't just about losing battles, it's about losing the will to fight. Legions mutiny over unpaid wages. Soldiers desert. Provinces are abandoned because they can't be defended. The empire, desperate, hires foreign mercenaries who have no loyalty and switch sides when not paid. The military that built the empire becomes the force that dismantles it. 7. Political fragmentation. The center cannot hold. Regional commanders and provinces refuse to recognize central authority. In Rome's 3rd century, this meant 50 emperors in 50 years. The empire splits into competing states that fight each other instead of defending against external threats. This stage happens with shocking speed, often in just a few years. 8. Total systems collapse. The final stage is a cascade failure. The currency becomes worthless. Trade networks disintegrate. Cities are abandoned. Knowledge is lost. The complex infrastructure of civilization reverts to tribalism. By the time barbarians sacked Rome in 476 AD, they were merely occupying the ruins of a civilization that had already destroyed itself from within. America in the crosshairs. 7 stages complete. The same mathematical sequence is now playing out in the United States, and we're much further along than most people realize. America has completed 7 of the 8 stages. We're not approaching collapse. We're already in the final phase. Stage 1, complete. With 800 military bases in 80 countries and a defense budget larger than the next 10 nations combined, the U.S. military is stretched across the globe, attempting to contain China, deter Russia, and fight terrorism simultaneously, a mathematically impossible task. Stage 2, complete. Since the Federal Reserve's creation in 1913, the U.S. dollar has lost 96% of its purchasing power. The move to a pure fiat currency in 1971 accelerated this. Since 2020 alone, the U.S. has printed over $6 trillion, devaluing every dollar in circulation and transferring wealth from savers to debtors. Stage 3, complete. The U.S. national debt stands at over $37 trillion or 132% of GDP. Annual interest payments on this debt now exceed defense spending. This debt spiral is mathematically inescapable without a crisis, as debt grows faster than the economy itself. Stage 4, complete. America has outsourced its productive capacity, running an $800 billion annual trade deficit. We design and consume, but we no longer make things. Critical supply chains for pharmaceuticals, rare earth minerals, and electronics are dependent on strategic competitors like China. Simultaneously, a brain drain pulls our best talent into finance rather than production. Stage 5, complete. Social trust has collapsed. Confidence in Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidency is at historic lows. Half the country doubts the legitimacy of elections, while the other half sees insurrection in political protest. Cities are grappling with crime, homelessness, and dysfunction, signaling a deep erosion of the civic fabric. Stage 6, beginning. The all-volunteer military is struggling to meet recruitment goals. Equipment is aging, and maintenance is deferred. Despite massive spending, 20-year wars in Afghanistan and Iraq ended in failure or stalemate. The military is losing its effectiveness and, crucially, the trust of the people it serves. Stage 7, accelerating. The nation is politically fragmenting. States openly defy federal authority on immigration, drug policy, and more. The Constitution is treated as a suggestion rather than supreme law. We are ceasing to function as a single nation, and are instead becoming a collection of autonomous regions, sharing a currency and a military, the exact prelude to Rome's fragmentation. This leaves only Stage 8, total systems collapse. History shows this final stage doesn't arrive gradually but with stunning speed. The Soviet Union looked stable in 1985 and was gone by 1991. In our hyper-connected digital age, this collapse could be even faster. A currency could crash overnight, supply chains could break in days, and social media could coordinate nationwide unrest in hours. A final warning from history. The 8-stage collapse formula is a powerful and frightening lens through which to view our current trajectory. It suggests that our problems are not merely political disagreements to be solved in the next election cycle, but symptoms of a systemic, mathematical decay that has ended every major empire before us. The question is no longer if America will follow this historical pattern, but how fast we will complete it. Rome had 4 centuries, the Soviets had 26 years. We have compressed 7 stages into just a few decades. The formula doesn't care about American exceptionalism. It doesn't care about hope or technology or good intentions. It cares about numbers, and the numbers are pointing in one ominous direction. The rhythm of history is rhyming, and the echo sounds terrifyingly familiar.